as I was reading through, and I don't, like I said, I don't recommend this. This was a tough task during this period, but reading through tons and tons of atheist stuff, what surprised me is I feel like I kept running up against this same kind of argument, that it was kind of like, well, if I were God, then blank, kind of an insert, this, if I were God, I would have made the universe differently. Or if I were God, I would have defined good and evil differently. Or if I were God, then I would have written the Bible differently, or something like that. And it was really this kind of recurrent thing, of this. And so I hook onto that, or I latch onto that in the book, and try and find some of those types of arguments and show you that they're, well, from the get-go, they don't stand up, because you're not God. And the instant that you start saying that God should work the way this, applies for Christians today, right? The instant that we start saying, well, that can't be wrong, or that can't be sinful, because God wouldn't say that that's wrong or sinful, right? What you're really saying is, well, I'm God, and I don't think it should be wrong or sinful. And so you're creating a God in your own image, sort of, when you do that. And we have to be really humble about saying, well, I'm not God, and I can't even come close to being God. And because of our fallen state, right, there are going to be things where we are tempted to think in certain ways that are not true or right, and we don't know fully either. So God may have reasons for doing things that we don't fully understand. So a good example of this is the argument from bad design. That is a fairly frequent argument that you can possibly run up against. So let me describe. Basically, the idea is, here is someone will come to you and say, here is some sort of biological organ, or bone, or system, and it is poorly designed. It looks bad, it has no function, or it doesn't work well, or something like that. And they'll say, God wouldn't make something like that. Therefore, God can't exist. Right? Well, you run into some problems right off the bat, because, first of all, it assumes what God was thinking when he designed that.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I don't know.
Yeah.
There are certainly some things that we can guess at, and some things that the Bible tells us what God is thinking about, why he sent Jesus into the world. Like, right, that's pretty clear. But there's a lot of different reasons why things may exist. And sometimes it's because it has a design or a purpose, and we just don't know it yet, because we haven't fully understood it, or fully explored it. Sometimes the design of something may be something like beauty, right? It doesn't necessarily have to serve a particular engineering or functional design. Or it may be something, the design could serve a purpose to remind us of who we are, of humans,